the 9 to noon radio presentation at FM 100.3 KFAN. Let's begin today's merrymaking by heading to Boston to talk about France.
Mbappe scores! France finally in front!
Joining us now is Edina's Jenny Taft, who also happens to handle big things for the Fox TV family, including the World Cup. And Jenny joins us now. By the way, good thing you were an athlete back in the day, back in the Edina days, Jenny, because you had to quick pivot after Monday night, didn't you? And good morning.
Oh, my gosh. Hi. Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's always so nice to chat with a familiar voice. It always brings me back to my Fox Sports North Edina days. But, yes, look, we don't need to sit here and chat about the way it ended for the U.S. We definitely can. But, the point of this World Cup is it's so deep. It's still going, right? Like, there's still so many games to play for, and I've covered France before, so I quickly shifted gears from my USA, and I'm going to be covering the France team for the rest of this tournament.
So wait a minute here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jenny. You and your family live in the Los Angeles area, right?
Actually, no, and because we have not caught up in a while, we are in Boston because my husband has been coaching ice hockey at Harvard, and ironically, I was able to just take my daughter to dance camp drop-off, which I'm not going to lie to you, didn't go great. I was just able to answer the phone for you. Right. I just got her to dance camp. So I had this amazing night with my family. I've been on the road really for the last month, which is, a challenge, yet also my husband was doing great with my daughter while I was away covering the World Cup. So I'm home in Boston, dropped her at camp, and then in a couple hours I'm going to cover France-Morocco, which is a pretty wild day.
Yeah, that's 3 o'clock Central today, and that's fantastic. Jenny Taft, Edina's Jenny Taft, Fox, we'll see her on TV today. Last thing from me on Monday, and I watched some of the interviews here, but like overall, how were they after the game? Like I saw the interviews, but interacting with the Americans after all the work is done, how down were they?
They were so down. I mean, it's almost hard to even put into words. I think the hardest part about a World Cup, about any tournament, but soccer can be such a cruel sport because you have this incredible momentum and the 3 weeks of the country rallying behind you, and it just ends abruptly, right? So the players, they all know that. They all felt that. I saw so many tears. And it was a team that truly believed, why not us? I think Mauricio Pochettino, I will give him a lot of credit. He had them believing. There was a culture and a tightness to this team that I personally thought was maybe the closest group I'd ever seen. A lot of these guys had grown up together. So, yeah, I saw a lot of tears and devastation, and then the next day they're all heading home or back to their club team. So that's the hardest part about a World Cup, yet seeing them just totally inspire the U.S., really, for me, is an experience I'll never forget. I think sometimes we as reporters, and you know this, like you kind of take the emotion out of it. And I even was choked up singing Country Road and listening at the end of some of those wins just because the fandom and the excitement. So I can think two things can be true. It was an amazing journey and a devastating loss, and both are true, but I think there'll be a hunger from a lot of those guys that will be available from 4 years from now. So It's only just the beginning.
All right, so wait a second here. Your husband is a coach with the Harvard College hockey team. They finished last year, I believe, somewhere in the mid-20s, like 23 in the pair-wise. What kind of squad do we have with this Harvard College hockey team?
Oh my gosh, I wish I could tell you I have any idea of the future of where they're at. I feel like I haven't been a supportive wife in that way to be in the mix on where they're at, but I know he's loved the experience. He's loved being back in college hockey. He played at Boston University and coached the national team for a couple years. So we've been on the move for the last couple years, but also really lucky to be in hockey for him. I mean, hey, Minnesota, maybe we'll end up there one day, right? We love our hockey there. That would be a win-win for me, but no, he's enjoying it for sure.
All right, now Jenny she's in Boston where she lives to cover France and Morocco, 3 o'clock Central today, and Jenny speaks fluent French, and I'm not kidding with this. For instance, please say in French, You're listening to 9 to Noon.
Maintenant, vous écoutez 9 à 12.
Beautiful. So, do you ask the French players questions in French during press conferences and stuff?
Yeah, so it's pretty wild.
That's awesome.
I cannot believe that Normandale, French immersion, Edina, Minnesota, public school was the way. And I will tell you, I complained about it. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm never going to use this. And then I sat down with Mbappe before the World Cup, and I got a text from my mom, and I think it just said Mbappe ? Like a quick reminder, like, you're welcome for sending you to Normandale. And, I kind of kept it up a little bit, not a ton after college, but I covered France at the World Cup in Russia. So that was 2018. And because the U.S. wasn't there, I did kind of pivot to focus on France. And there's like that fake it till you make it. I was like, I speak French. I can do this. So I've been using it. I've been practicing with it. But yesterday I was talking to Didier Deschamps in French, and he was like, well, he actually really enjoys doing interviews with you because your French is good enough.
Wow.
So it's really fun for me. And thankfully Mbappe, now his English is incredible, so we can do the interview in English. But a lot of the players prefer French, but most of the time they just appreciate the effort. So I'll ask a question in French, follow up in English. They all really can answer in English, and it's better for our audience to be in English, but Didier is French only, so I have an interview with him airing before the match, which is kind of fun.
Well, that's fantastic. I don't know how much of the NBA Finals you watched or the press conferences, but like with Victor Wembanyama, with Wemby,
yeah.
in his post-game press conferences, when he would get questions in English, what I really liked about him is he would pause like 5 seconds to make sure he heard it right, make sure he processes it right, and answers the right way. Now, he'd give like a 10 to 15 word answer. Now, a couple of people would ask questions in French. I mean, they basically would chat for like 2 minutes in the press conference. He was so appreciative to hear his native language, specifically in situations that can be quite tense. Know what I mean?
Oh, it's a great example because so much of it is just the respect. Like, I'll never forget 2018 when a couple of the players were like, you're really going to ask us in French? Like, really? All right. And it was really winning them over. Like, even their French press officer, for me to say, I'll do it in French or English just means so much to them. And then oftentimes they'll even start answering in French and then pivot to English throughout the conversation. So I love the challenge. I'm going to be honest, English is hard enough in a post-game interview, but the French is just like a crazy thing that I've been able to practice. I was sitting with a tutor ahead of the World Cup, just having conversations, and it's by no means perfect, but it's definitely good enough. And just what a treat that I can use it. And hopefully France keeps this thing going, and we'll have a lot of interviews.
At Jenny Taft via X, Edina's Jenny Taft with Fox TV. France, Morocco today on Fox, about 6 hours from now. So what will your role for the day be?
Sure. So I am the, pitch side reporter, which I think, especially for your audience, it's such a football audience. It's so different than my role covering the Big Ten, right? I'm, as a sideline reporter for college football, I'm roaming. I'm really right in there. I can get all the way up to the bench. FIFA and any World Cup, the rules are so strict. So you're basically given a specific seat on the pitch, like you are truly sitting. I can't stand up. Normally, sometimes it's next to the bench, close-ish if you're covering the U.S., but since it's a French match, my priority will be lower, and I'll probably be behind the net in some way. So I'm going to offer perspective, reports before the match, after the match, but really my role is the post-game interviews. I think that's most important for a World Cup, because as you know, a FIFA World Cup, FIFA controls the cameras, so Fox is the rights holder and you're watching all the images, but they control the shot. So my role in-game is less important. It's really pre-game and post-game interviews and storytelling along the way.
Now, the producer, Nordo, is the elite soccer mind in this covenant, and he has some soccer-related questions for Jenny Taft.
Well, I wanted to start here, Jenny, just going backwards a bit. You mentioned it in brief, but can you describe, being so close to it as you are, the cultural collision on the streets during this Cup? Like, it's so awesome to see it, the celebrations, the pride of these people. It kind of sets the perfect backdrop for the tourney, and it's just... as your role is in covering this tournament, getting so close with some of these teams, have you been able to experience that and be embedded with that?
It's a great way to look at it. And I appreciate the question because I kept telling my friends, like, just wait till the World Cup comes to America. And, it's hard to even know what it'll be like. I mean, just everything from my girlfriends is a funny example, but like can't get enough of Erling Haaland. They didn't know who Erling Haaland was before this tournament. I mean, all these stars that you're kind of getting to know, and the joke among my friends were like, what if he had played ice hockey? Can you imagine? That was what we'd all been chatting about. But I think seeing the fans just kind of take over these cities, totally embrace the World Cup, every culture, every fan base. I have seen that. I've covered, this is my 6th World Cup between the men's and women's, which is wild. And wow. I was in Russia and Qatar for the men's World Cups, and I still saw those fans and those cultures show up. So I was just so excited for Americans to get to understand the passion of the game because, look, as we all know, soccer's our number one, but why can't it be one of those sports that we all rally around? And while the U.S. loss was devastating, seeing everyone talk about the loss the next day is such a positive step in the right direction. And you're a soccer guy. So that's just, It's just the beginning. And that's what I think was so exciting about.
Well, and you're kind of experiencing both ends of that spectrum, right, Jenny? Because, you mentioned Pochettino and creating this culture of belief with Team USA. Team USA, love them, but it's still kind of the little engine that we hope can and potentially could be a could down the road. Meanwhile, you're talking to Didier. This is a team that has been there, done that. They're seeking their 3rd straight final. They not just have belief, they expect to hoist that trophy again. That's got to be vastly different conversations you've been having between your work with the U.S. and now with France.
I like that example a lot, with Mauricio Pochettino, and I loved that he instilled that belief in the players. He often would quote Miracle to me, Herb Brooks. He also knew I loved hockey, so I think there was a level of he always would bring it up. He's like, why not? Why can't it be us? So the U.S. needed that, yes. But to be honest, when I'm around the French national team, the level of skill and depth and experience and the fact that they've been there, they've won it, then they lost it. They're out for revenge, redemption in a lot of ways. I mean, losing a World Cup final 4 years ago for them, that hurt. And they have just so much skill. Didier knows how to manage this team. I love Kylian Mbappe and his leadership, and Ousmane Dembele, who's this incredible leader in his own. I mean, they have just so many skilled players, and they understand the challenge, right? And Morocco's not going to be easy today. I really expect an incredible match. And but to me, when you look at France, it's hard to not see that they can make it all the way to the final. And who knows? Argentina finds a way to keep winning. So maybe we've got a rematch from 4 years ago.
Time for one more.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your pregame with Didier because for me, it's constructing a team. It's almost so push button. It comes down to how he manages egos, like a Michael Olise, for instance. This guy's a superstar in his own right, but 80% of his job is finding ways to feed Mbappe, and they have to buy into that. I know it's crazy when you think about a dream team, but that takes work for a team that is seeking the ultimate prize here in a week and change.
I think that is actually one of the questions I asked him, and I'm excited. I'll send it to you after we get off the phone. You can see it ahead of time. But it was kind of like, people ask me, how hard is it to manage Mbappe and all the skill you have? And he was like, but this is the dream. They all understand the collective goal. I have a group of individual stars, but I have a group of individual stars that want to win as a team. And when I interviewed Mbappe, he never talked about himself. It was always team first, the captain, the role, the honor of that. I think they understand that. I think that is part of that DDA message. And I've 100% fully switched gears, and I'd be lying to you if I'd said I've been with them throughout the tournament. I was always with the U.S., but I've been around them enough in years past. It's a familiar face. They've seen me before. So I had a great chat with Didier yesterday, and hopefully plenty more to go, because as we know, this tournament is not done. We're still building towards July 19th, the final.
All righty. Go Crimson. Go Daughters in Dance. And au revoir. Have a great day today.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Oh, merci beaucoup. À bientôt.
Je m'appelle Paul. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, guys. It's so nice to catch up.
Yeah, you're awesome. Bye. That's Jenny Taft from Fox. She's a heavy hitter with Fox, by the way.
She does terrific work for him.
College football, World Cup. She does a lot of great things. At Jenny Taft. Edina's Jenny Taft. Go Crimson. At Jenny Taft via X if you'd like to learn more about the provincial spot to begin. 9 to noon, where the Minnesota Twins, ladies and gentlemen, The Minnesota Twins, just in case
#Faith Radio.
you haven't been following it that closely, well, they beat Cleveland last night in dramatic fashion, which means they've won 7 of their last 8 series. Thus, manager Derek Shelton joins 9 to noon around the corner, part of the TimberTech What's on Deck set list at FM 100.3 KFAN. Good morning.
This is PA on iHeartRadio.
We'll come in. 9 to noon.
To noon. FM 100.3 KFAN. After the Twins win last night, they were saying,
Thank you, Minneapolis.
as were we. And to chat about that and more, I'm very happy to reconvene with Minnesota Twins manager Derek Shelton. Mr. Shelty, how about last night? It's Alan Roden who closed out Cleveland with a walk-off and won you another series. Good morning, Mr. Manager, and what'd you think about the win?
Good morning. I mean, it took me a while to get back on. You told me this winter I was going to be able to come on, and I had to wait till almost July to get back on. So it's killing me a little bit, but it's good to hear your voice. Yeah, I mean, good victory for us last night. Roden coming through with the big hit late to be able to get us the victory.
Well, I mean, since you went down that road, you know, we are in the endorsement business, so I'm sure we can find. I mean, if you want to come on weekly after the All-Star break, we're not going to say no. And if you'd like us to try to find a Woodford Reserve, like endorsement or something like that, I'm sure we probably could make that happen.
Well, I'm saying if there's an endorsement to be found, I'm sure we could have a conversation about it.
Or we can say, truthfully, in 9 to noon fashion, we waited for you to win 7 of the last 8 series and then get right next to the All-Star break when it's all chill and everything to call you. I mean, that's not bad timing, right?
No, I'll take it. It's just good to talk to you.
With Alan Roden, for those who maybe didn't know much about him, what has this young man been through to get the chance to join the big club and win a game like last night?
Well, I think a lot. I mean, he's a kid we acquired last year in a trade from Toronto, came to the big leagues and ended up getting hurt. Spent all winter working out here in the Twin Cities. Came into camp, got really kind of caught in a numbers game a little bit with the number of outfielders we have. Went to St. Paul, got hurt again, and then, you know, was able to work his way back, was playing really well in St. Paul, and then, you know, one of those times it's just a situation of you need something else to happen, and we had some other injuries, and he got the call up. But I think that it's a testament to, number one, to Roden, with as much as he's kind of battled through this year, or over the last year, and then as importantly, the kind of mentality of this club where it really doesn't matter who it is, but people are stepping up every night.
Well, they're, you know, depending on how your right-hand man, Dustin Morse, is feeling this morning, there's an outside chance an hour, 10 minutes from now, Mr. Roden will be joining the 9 to noon radio show. And if he does, with one of those sneaky clubhouse calls we make days you have matinees, one of the questions that I want to ask him is, when you're in St. Paul and you're tearing it up like he was, I mean, how do you avoid just like looking at your phone, waiting for your agent to call or text to get that call to the bigs? Because it could provide a distraction. That just has to be a difficult life, right?
Yeah, it's very challenging. And I think, you know, one of the beautiful things about the Twin Cities is the fact that St. Paul is right across the river and we're able to have very quick access to our AAA players. The secondary component to that is if you're playing well in AAA, you're right across the river and you're wondering, when am I going to get my call? Sometimes, and I think, as you know and have probably highlighted on your show, our offense has been really good this year. and I mean, leading the American League in runs scored. Sometimes it takes an opportunity. Even though you're playing well, there's people that are playing, the position you're playing, or there's other situations, and you don't get that opportunity. In this situation with Buck going on the IL, Allen was able to get the opportunity and came through for us last night. But it is, to your point, probably one of the most challenging aspects of being a AAA player.
Well, with that offense, it has been fantastic, specifically the last couple of months. Cody Clemens has had a fair amount to do with it. Now, early in the game, Cody missed a home run by a few inches. He ends up 3 for 4. It was Clemens' 5th multi-hit game the last 7, and he's hitting 400 this month. What's clicking so well with Cody Clemens?
Well, I think there's a couple components. Number one, it's just opportunity. I mean, he's another kid that we acquired last year, got the opportunity to play every day, hit 19 homers. But this year, it's just really good aggressive swings. I mean, the one thing about Cody that you love is he's just a true baseball player. He's played first, second, right, left, center field, can play all over the diamond, does not change his approach at the plate. And he's just one of those guys that, was in an organization or has been in organizations where they didn't have at-bats for him, and sometimes it just is the opportunity that comes into play, and he's really capitalizing on it.
Derek Shelton, manager for the Minnesota Twins. They've won this series against Cleveland. They get Gavin Williams today to try to achieve the sweep. Then the LA Angels are here this weekend, then the All-Star break. Now, you get Bailey Ober back today. That's nothing but good news. What are you looking for from him off the month-and-a-half layoff?
Well, he's had a couple rehab starts. So today it will be a little bit of a shorter outing, just the fact we will continue to control the pitches as he works his way back. Just looking for him to go out and throw strikes. I mean, I think that's the most important thing. Working back into the major leagues, not wanting him to do too much. I think the one thing we know about Bailey is he has the ability to mix all of his pitches and use the changeup effectively to both sides. But today, just looking for him to go out and give us as many innings as he can, and then we'll build him up after the break.
And speaking of pitching, holy cow, Shelty, Taj Bradley gave you such a wonderful start Tuesday night. What a great way to start a series with something like that. Taj, what'd you think of Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, he was electric on Tuesday. It's the best stuff we've seen out of him. The last 3 or 4 starts have just been really good. I really love the fact for Twins fans is we're kind of watching this kid grow up in front of us. I mean, he's only 24, 25 years old. The pitch mix just continues to get better. And, if you look at his strikeouts per 9 innings, it's in the top 10 in baseball. And with him and Joe Ryan, we're the only team to have 2 guys on that list. But the execution of all of his pitches, it just seems like he continues to get sharper and better every time out. And, it's been fun to watch. And Tuesday night, man, it was really good.
And you, I mean, having this position, second time as a manager, you got a squad that's playing really well for you right now. But you got Pablo Lopez walking around the dugout during games. You can't dwell, right? You can't look at Pablo and be like, if we had Pablo, we had JoJo, we had Taj going like he's going now, and if we get Bailey up to speed, we take a lot of heat off this bullpen and probably would be even better. You just can't look at it that way, right?
No, there's no way. I mean, there's no reason, especially since we lost Pablo the first day of spring training. The way I look at Pablo Lopez is he's probably the most engaged player that on the injured reserve of anybody I've ever seen in all my time in the big leagues. The fact that he's in our clubhouse every day, he's in our dugout all game long, the attitude he has, his engagement, his ability to talk to young players. Can you sit and dream of like, damn, it'd be really nice to have him in the rotation? Yeah, you can do that all day long. But I think the person that he is and what he provides to our young players every day is something that's really vital, and just appreciate, how he goes about it.
Derek Shelton, manager of the Minnesota Twins, matinee today against Cleveland. There were several things I loved last night, Shelty, including how after Cleveland took the lead, you guys came back bottom 7 and tied it at 5. Now, a couple of their bullpen guys walked 5 guys that inning, including walking in both tying runs. So when guys are missing the mark like that, like they were, what's the read in the dugout? Do you tell your guys to take until somebody proves they can throw a strike?
Well, I think it's a situation depending on who the pitcher is. In last night's situation, yeah, we got into the situation where it was like we were going to make him throw strikes. I mean, he didn't throw a strike until he got to Cody. But our approach has been so consistent and so good that at times I don't even have to talk to our guys about that. They just stay, with that kind of grinder mentality they've had throughout the year.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, Derek, you guys have won 7 of your last 8 series. Is winning a series at Yankee Stadium different with all the history and it being 4th of July weekend in New York City?
I think it is different because you have young players that are going in there sometimes for the first time or second time, and there is something different about going into one of the major markets, going into Boston, New York, Chicago, and being able to do that. I was just really pleased with the way we played, the way we were consistent the whole weekend. We had to battle some weather a couple of the days, which is, challenging. And then you're in there on a holiday weekend. So it's big and there's all eyes on you. And the fact that we were able to respond, and then, secondarily, which I didn't know until after the series, historically the Twins have not played well in New York. And to go in there and kind of mix that up a little bit was really good for our group.
Now, so it's almost 5 months that you've been with these guys since spring training. What are you noticing about the clubhouse demeanor after like walk-off wins or super tough losses? What's forming here with how they handle all circumstances?
Yeah, I love our culture. This group of kids, they really like to be around each other. And if you've heard any of them talk post-game, pre-game, good, bad, and different, a lot of them talk about how much fun they're having. And I know that sounds crazy because we're playing a game, but sometimes this becomes a business. And a lot of times it becomes a business. But with this group, they really enjoy being around each other. And I think one of the things that stands out to me, as you said, we won 7 of the last 8 series. The series that we didn't win was against the Dodgers. And we played 2 really good games and got beaten 1-run games. And after that sweep, I came out of my office and there were 7 or 8 guys after a night game sitting there eating together, having a beer. We were going into an off day. They ended up sitting there for a little while longer, playing some cards. What that tells me is they like being around each other. And they don't change whether it's, a tough loss that night, a 4-3 loss to the defending world champions, or last night when there's a walk-off and we're going into a day game. They keep that same demeanor and the fact that they really just enjoy the fact that they're together. And I think that's a true testament to the leadership we have in our clubhouse, and Buck and Josh Bell and Taylor Rogers. And then the young kids that have all come up together, they really enjoy the time they spend together.
That's fantastic. I love how you laid that out. So today, what are some keys to getting to Gavin Williams? He can be quite good, as you know, but you guys roughed him up a bit early May, and he's had some 5 and fly to him the last 6 starts.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is we can't chase him. I think as you pointed out here, Paul, this stuff is really good. And, Cleveland's pitchers historically they've had really good stuff. The big thing for us today is we cannot chase him off the plate. He wants us to go off the plate. He wants us to chase his breaking stuff, and we got to make sure that he comes on the plate. It's what we did in May to him and had success, and we need to replicate that today.
So that's, correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's a lot different than the guy last night, right? Who started with the sweepers and stuff, but he throws 3 different fastballs. So mentally, you just got to change today, right?
Yeah, you just change your. It's day to day, and I think as we've talked about before, the whole point of baseball is the fact that the guy on the mound that day, the starter on the mound that day, can dictate the entire game, and we got to make sure that we stay with our approach and we don't let him dictate, how he goes about it.
Last one for you here, my brother. Thanks for the time. Glenn Perkins was on this radio show yesterday, and he said that these guys are running through walls for you. So what did you learn from your 6 years managing the Pirates that's helping you best connect with the players here?
Well, number one, I appreciate Perk saying that. That's very humbling coming from someone like him that's around our club every day. I think the thing I learned is, I think there's a couple things. Number one, you really have to over-communicate. And I think in Pittsburgh, and we talked about it this winter when I was in studio with you, I think at the end of my time there, I didn't communicate as well as I would have liked, and I wasn't as clear. And then I think the second thing is when you do a job for the second time, or you get older, maybe a little bit wiser, you realize some of the things that bothered you or you worried about, you just need to move on to the next thing and focus on the things that are important to you. And, you know, it takes time to learn that, especially in this job. And I hope that I'm doing a better job of it, you know, the second time around.
All righty. The Angels sans Mike Trout are here this weekend, then the All-Star break. Other than maybe calmly sipping some Woodford Reserve and listening to Pearl Jam live on YouTube, what else do you have up your sleeve for some relaxation?
For the All-Star break?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm actually going to Philly. I was selected to be on the staff in Philly, so I will be in Philly watching the game, spending it with my wife and my 2 daughters, so that should be a lot of fun.
Well, that's going to be relaxing in its own right. All right, I'll call you in a couple of weeks to start the second half of the season. Thank you, Derek.
All right, thanks.
Yes, see you, bud. That's Derek Shelton, manager of the Minnesota Twins, winners of 7 of their last 8 series. That's fantastic.
PA hits for the cycle.
9 to noon continues with Vikes Bites after this.
This is P.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. It is time for Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites, 9 to noon, courtesy of Kinmount Exteriors. KinmountExteriors.com. It's clear, it's honest, it's Kinmount. If you're looking for windows, siding, roofing, and decks, the first spot you should go is KinmountExteriors.com. Now, a talker that you had bandied about, and it is the first place we'll go. Maybe there's even talkbacks associated with this. Free iHeartRadio app. Well, fire away. Got Super Bowl slogans, all sorts of things. But a question that you pondered, PA, was where are we weak?
Where are the Minnesota Vikings weak into the 2026?
Where are we weak? And I'm taking the quarterback conversation and just the unknowns and all of that. If it's okay with you, I'm taking that out of the mix as we start to analyze this here. And I'm going to start here. And I'm going to start with where are we weak in 2026? And maybe it's fair to preface, maybe it's not. Until proven otherwise,
correct,
I believe that we are weak at the cornerback spot. So we know about Murph. We know about Rodgers. Byron Murphy Jr. with all that interception and splashy play-related production 2 seasons ago, a little bit lighter in 2025. Hoping for a bounce back for old Byron.
Yes, sir.
Isaiah Rodgers, splashy as he was at times. That's our top 2. And then what? So enter James Pierre. And James Pierre, special teams duties and spot duty on the field defensively during his tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers is the grand unknown in this equation for me. And then, you know, behind him, I'm excited to meet this Chuck Demings, this Stephen F. Austin cat, 5th rounder. Okay, Zemiah Vaughn, Alec Lewis's favorite player from a year ago. We know all the names. And it's weird to think about it given how much respect and trust that we have in Brian Flores, that we're talking about a weak spot specifically defensively. But when you look at the names, as it stands now, until proven otherwise, I do look at the cornerback group as being weak as it pertains to what we're projecting for the 2026 Minnesota Vikings.
Which ties into something I'm looking forward to bringing up with Ben Lever, beloved Nacho, 15 minutes from now, is, it's whether James Pierre is better than Fabian Moreau. That only time will tell Davey. Rodgers and Murphy, specifically Rodgers, second year in this system. I mean, they should provide what they provided last year, and nobody was getting over the top on the Minnesota Vikings, but that's a design of the heavy rush defense, which gets me to something where you can't say it's weak now because you'd be wrong. I just wonder if Andrew Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner don't play all or a majority of the games, what's going to happen with that edge rushing situation? You know, they're counting a lot on Dallas Turner. Van Ginkel had some neck problems last year, and he's into the final year of his deal here. So those two are so important to the totality of the defense, but specifically protecting exactly what you just talked about.
Yeah. Where
those three corners are going to play a lot. Now, if there is a pass rush from all over the place in plague or amoeba-like fashion, well, Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner are going to have a lot to do with that, so you got to keep them healthy.
Well, let me go back. You mentioned you couldn't call the edge situation weak because you'd be wrong.
Yeah.
Now, I think that it's similar to the cornerback room as I presented it. Until proven otherwise, losing Jonathan Grenard and slotting in Dallas Turner, that is a weaker situation until proven otherwise. Is it not? And given what we saw last year from Van Ginkel, we need that vet to stay on the field. We need him jumping routes and producing, and sadly that was taken away from him a little bit, and hence the defense.
Right.
But you're right. And so while I totally agree that one works hand in hand, in fact, I would prefer the current cornerback situation if I knew that the edge rushing was going to be spot on, because that can indeed make up maybe for some imperfections on the back end. But for me, that was where I was actually going to go next, PA, is the unknown of Dallas Turner. Love, again, the growth that we saw from him into year two. But then it is about staying on the field. And outside of that, then we're talking about, your Smith Vilberts and your Tyler Baddies of the world, and maybe not Smith Vilbert, but
Bo Richter.
There we go. Bo Richter, for instance.
Chambliss.
That's going to be the training camp conundrum, some training camp convos in terms of how that particular group looks.
Right.
So until proven otherwise, Dallas Turner is a step down from what we enjoyed and appreciated about Jonathan Grenard.
Right. Now, I believe he had 6 sacks in his final 8 games.
And a little run there going.
Yeah, so he caught fire at the end at the right time at the end of the race. So then now they move on and they pull one from the stable, Jonathan Grenard, and they elevate Dallas. So the belief with them has to be that what they got from Dallas Turner, from what we all saw with the sacks and doing a lot better job of getting off blocks. Like, I mean, he'd get, there are times, I mean, and specifically in his rookie year, he gets swallowed up by offensive linemen. And I'm just like wondering, what the moves are. Well, the moves started to take place. He got swallowed up less. His work against the run will be tested, but those two staying healthy, for all of them or a majority of them, that's a defensive A topic for the 2026 Minnesota Vikings.
A topic exchange.
Chaz Chambliss, though.
Jumping back to corners for just a baby second, if Pierre struggles at times, or there is an issue, because you mentioned it. Murph and Rodgers, I think they were 95-ish% in snaps last year.
Yep.
That's probably going to have to happen again. Do you see an element with the 15 safeties that we have on the team where, Flo can adjust? Flo can, put a different chess piece in the mix if Pierre potentially isn't providing everything that you need, so that the secondary group, could we look at it more broadly and just say the secondary group in totality versus focusing in on the corners?
Mostly, Jacoby Thomas, the rookie Kane, the defense they played at the University of Miami, at times, and I've shared this just in passing before, at times was what Brian Flores does here. So teams have mixers. In other words, you got the Flores base, and we all know that because we're elite football minds here. That's the 3-4 hybrid with floaters.
With floaters.
Okay, so there are teams that will take what he does with the floaters and mix it into like a 4-3 and do it differently. So teams are borrowing from each other all the time. Flores last offseason, paraphrasing, he was talking about, what he's done on his downtime, and I think he quipped, like, I'm watching Vic Fangio and Steve Spagnuolo film.
Yeah.
And they would say the same thing about him. Now, Thomas, from what I've been from what I've gleaned, was very impactful when they would have 7 across the line of scrimmage and have a little B flow to it. Now, was that strictly as a safety? Does that mean he's covering guys out of the slot? That only time will tell with that, Davey. But with James Pierre, and Isaiah Rodgers had a fine season last year, specifically for his first season with a very complicated defense. Should be a lot better this year in certain facets of his game. But like Rodgers last year in free agency, let's not forget, when all the big names were heading here, there, and everywhere, old B-Flow and the Minnesota Vikings rolled in early in the equation and plucked James Pierre.
Yeah.
So that's an indicator.
It's very Isaiah Rodgers-esque in the way that they went after him. Yeah.
And the take was good last year in that they wanted to get somebody they wanted for sure, and they didn't want to jack around with dealing with other teams. So with Pierre, a player with whom Flores was in Pittsburgh. So clearly he saw something he liked. He wanted him. Didn't want to mess around with other teams, flirting with him. So the fact that a super well-respected defensive coordinator identified a skill set that may play 30, 40% of the game, whatever.
Yeah.
That's very important to me, and it was right with Rodgers. I think it'll be right with Pierre.
Oh, and by the way, if you respect Flo in his eye, if maybe that wasn't enough, well, they just took their D-backs coach, Gerald Alexander, and brought him to Minnesota anyway. Right. So one way or another, that's going to work.
That's right. Durante Jones leaves and becomes defensive coordinator for the Commanders.
Bites! Thank you so much. Kinmount Exteriors, kinmountexteriors.com.
Yeah, this Jacoby Thomas excites me. And
does Poopy Dave love him?
Now that we're starting to think about, is Harrison Smith going to return? That, it's with respect, and maybe it's an absolute no. I would just like to know, because it factors into playing time for guys who I think are going to be key.
Yeah.
This Jacoby Thomas, if he picks up on it and if he's able to get the tricks down so that learned quarterbacks are not able to look at him and say, I see what you're doing there. I saw that on film from 2 games ago, so we're going to go over here and get a first down. If he's able to sell things like that as a scholar of the game, I think they really, really hit on one with Jacoby Thomas.
No, that's sweet. If Hitman does come back, Jacoby will suffer maybe in terms of reps, but you think Jay Ward's sitting around going, come on, man?
Well, see, Jay finished really well last year.
And that's what I've heard as well, and that he's on the come a little bit.
Right, they're quite high on Jay Ward, who is hybrid safety corner. So they're starting to mix Ward in as the 3.5 fourth corner. So that plays into the equation too.
Bites! Kinmount Exteriors. Let me hit you with one more, and then maybe we can even continue this conversation with Ben Lieber.
Dig it.
Until proven otherwise. That's kind of the preface that I've put for these here, whether it's the corners, it's on the edge. We are weak potentially at the running back spot, PA. 8 rush TD from Mason and Jones last year. Jones banged up, missed 5 games. Wonder how hobbled he was in some of the other 12. Mason, not an elite catching running back. Per carry, dug it. It was borderline top 10, but the rhythm of the game, finding more opportunities and success in mass to run. 19th in red zone offense. So this is one of those things where, again, projections and what we have. The O-line plays a factor. The QB plays a factor. I get all that, but it's still something I believe with room to grow. Really pumped to get in-person eyes on Damon Claiborne. Can the rookie be splashy? Talk about young kids getting reps. We talked about it with the Wolves in Summer League and potential opportunities for the Howls. Similarly, maybe for the Purple or the evolution of Mason. Better offensive line, how that plays into it. I look at the run game as something that I'll be focused on in camp and beyond.
With respect, I think the A topic's been left out. That's the addition of Frank Smith, the assistant head coach, with new running schemes, things that Miami did with A-Chain, the 49ers did with Kyle Shanahan. I fully believe having Frank Smith in the mix is absolutely the reason they drafted Max Bredesen. I think it has a lot to do with why they drafted Damon Claiborne. And I actually believe once we get up and running, pardon the pun, I think the running game is going to be a strength of the Minnesota Vikings. And this Frank Smith has a lot to do with it, man. I mean, you might have been gone when, I think you were, when I was at, I had the honor of going to Adam Thielen's retirement party, and I chatted with, I didn't say the name, but there's just somebody who deeply rooted in the Covenant would know exactly what they're talking about when it comes to the running game. And, it was just a question in passing with this person about the quarterback situation here. And the individual had zero desire to talk. He's like, I don't care who the quarterback is. Frank Smith, A, B, C, D. Bredesen, A, B, C, D. Claiborne, A, B, C, D. Jones and Mason, A, B, C, D. I mean, this individual was incredibly excited, but he said it twice to me. He's like, dude, I don't care who the quarterback is with the way I think this thing's going to work out.
Well, I'm loving the hopeful and the optimistic nature. Frank Smith, his reputation and his resume precedes him. So absolutely, as we get a chance to see that into this season, the run game on the bounce back, the run game, it's new, it's different, it's fresh. And that's Vikes Bites, brought to you by Kinmount Exteriors, KinmountExteriors.com.
Here comes Nacho Libre to begin the second hour of 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN.
You're listening live to Paul Allen at 9 to noon on iHeart.